everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to perfect the cat eye or the wing liner. Whether you have hooded eyes, mono lids, you can adapt this technique to suit your eye shape. My eyes are not symmetrical, one is slightly bigger than the other, so I do have to adjust my eyeliner to suit, and I'm going to show you both eyes so you can see the difference. It is super subtle, but there is a slight difference to make it work. If you have hooded eyes, you'll know that sometimes a product can print on top of your lid, so longevity is really important. My preference is to use the Inglot Duraline mixed with something like the Longwear Gel Eyeliner by Bobbi Brown, because this is a waterproofing mixing medium, which means it does stay in place. But as an alternative, you could use the Wet n Wild Mega Liner. For me, this really does not budge, it doesn't flake and it stays in place all day. Plus it's super cheap. Now the top tip I have, especially if you have hooded eyes, is to fill in this area underneath your top eyelash line. So whether you're using the applicator that comes with your eyeliner, say the Mega Liner, or you're using a separate liner brush, make sure that you fill in this area, because it means you're not going to lose any space here. If you take your eyeliner on top, it will close that space. So the trick here is to line underneath your lash line so it looks fuller, it looks darker. Then we want to create the cat eye or the wing. So imagine that your lower eyelash line was to continue on the same trajectory. This is the line that you're going to create. Another quick way to do this is to put your brush at the corner of your nose to the corner of your eye, and this will give you the same trajectory. Next, we're going to create a small triangle on the outer edge. Don't get too bold or too brave and go too thick to begin with. The smaller the better. You do not want the fold of your eye to touch this triangle, so make it very small, because you can always make it bigger, but start small, and then as you get towards the lash line, get even thinner. Use very small little swiping motions to just make sure that that line is as seamless as possible. So even though it is a very small winged liner, it is still suitable, and it makes the eye look a little bit more elongated, and it lifts the eye on the outer edge. So even if it's tiny, it doesn't matter as long as it works for your shaped eye. So I'm looking directly straight into the mirror, and I can see that I can actually make this a little bit fuller because it doesn't affect the crease of my eye. This will really be dependent on your eye shape, but if you can make it fuller, go for it. Try to still keep this shallow. You don't want to make it too large on top, because when you look directly into the mirror, it will be higher than the highest point that you've created along your lash line. So this part here that I'm doing now needs to still stay as thin as possible, because we're not taking it too high. We don't want to lose space on our lid. So remember, this needs to still stay as thin as possible. And when you look directly straight into a mirror, your wing shouldn't be higher than this. If there are any areas that you need to clean up, use a angled liner brush and just gently sweep along it to make it nice and sharp. So as you can see, when I'm looking down, the winged liner looks beautiful, but even when I'm looking up, you can see it's not affecting the crease of my eye. If your fold is lower, then your winged liner needs to be smaller, because then that way it won't print on top. If your eyes are particularly hooded, don't be tempted to drop the trajectory of that line too low, otherwise it will create a droopy appearance to your eyes. On my eye, you can see there is scope for a little bit of lowering, so you could go out a little bit wider, but if you drop it too low, it will make your eyes look sad. I do have another tutorial for winged liner specifically on a hooded eye, which I will link on the top right hand side for you now. So I've gave my lashes a curl, and I'm also going to apply some mascara. You can just apply mascara to the outer half of your lashes, which I'll do on the other eye before I move on to show you guys what it looks like. That will also create a nice swooping effect to the eyes. For this particular one, I'm going to apply mascara all the way across, but I'm going to make sure that the outer half is slightly heavier. So an extra coat on that part, because that will also create a bit more of an elongated eye on that outer half. As you can see, this eye is finished, and the lash line itself, where it's slightly darker underneath that top lash line, we don't need that eyeliner to go all the way across. We've not lost any space on the top lid, but we've managed to elongate the shape of the eye, and it looks absolutely beautiful. So even if I'm looking up straight into a mirror, you can see that it's not affected by the fold of my lid. I don't particularly have hooded eyes, but this is still the same technique I use on clients that do have hooded eyes. Use that same technique, just adjust it to suit your lid space. It will take a little bit of practice, but I promise you will get there. The trick really is this section here, going underneath your top lash line to maximize that space on your top lid so you don't close it off. So again, as you can see, it gets rid of the pink tones underneath that top lash line. And then we're going to use the back of our brush from the corner of our nose to the corner of our eye to get that trajectory. Again, if you are slightly more hooded, just drop that trajectory ever so slightly, but do not drop it too low or it will give you sad eyes. Another little tip is not to take that wing out too far. If you take it too exaggerated up, it means that you're going to get more of a swooping kind of winged effect, whereas we're creating a bit more of a cat eye, so the actual wing itself is a little bit straighter, and this is about perfecting this look, so smaller is definitely key. Once you get the hang of it, you can go as exaggerated as you like. This is a beautiful wing. I still have a lot more scope to go a bit bigger because you can see that the crease is not touching that wing at all. This is my slightly bigger eye. However, you can see it runs smoothly in a nice straight line up to meet the highest point of our top lash line. Once again, because we've lined under our top lash line, we're not losing any space on top, so it's a great way to maximise our lid space. Here I'm just going to make that wing a little bit bigger so you can see how to gradually build it up. From the wing itself, I always like to pull backwards on myself, and then that way you get a bit of a smoother finish. Just try to make that line as seamless as possible so that when you're looking straight into a mirror, it's not jaggedy, it's nice and straight. Now we've got that straight, we just need to make sure that it runs smoothly into the wing, because otherwise it will be slightly jaggedy when we're looking directly up. So I'm very slowly using the tip of the brush to create a nice sharp finish to the edge. And then you can just be a little bit of a perfectionist here and look down into a mirror and very slightly stamp in along the line to make sure it's nice and seamless. And for me that is perfect, so when I'm looking down and when I'm looking up, it's a nice seamless shape. And as you can see, it's definitely more of a cat eye than a winged liner, because a wing is slightly more swooping, whereas the cat feline effect is slightly straighter. So when you look directly into a mirror straight on, that feline flick doesn't sit higher than the highest point of your top lash line. So go in with your eyelash curlers. I'm going to show you how long I actually crimp my lash for. I like to make sure it's not too close to the base, but I like to give it a good pinch. And that way, the longer you hold it, the longer it's going to hold the shape. You can give these a little warming with your hairdryer first. Just make sure it's not hot, or it will burn your skin, but the heat will help curl your lashes for longer and it holds them in place, a lot like a tong would do. Then I'm going to go in with my mascara, and this time I'm going to show you what it's like just on the outer half. It won't be for everybody, but it is a lovely way to elongate the shape of the eye, give a bit more of a feline finish. It's very sultry and a bit more sexy, but again, it's not for everybody. You can also achieve this by applying a half lash just on that outer half of your eye, so you can do it that way, but this is just about mascara today and that feline flick. So as you can see, when I look up, it just gives you that beautiful swooping finish. This is a great trick if you are somebody who has quite close set eyes, because having them without any mascara on the inner corners will make them look slightly wider set. And then this is both eyes finished with mascara all the way across on both eyes. As you can see, we've got this eye which is slightly smaller on the wing. The other eye is slightly fuller because it can take it. I do try to make them as symmetrical as possible when I'm going out, but this is just to show you one that's slightly fuller and one that's ever so slightly smaller. It is very subtle, but it is there. I will list and link the products I've used in the description bar. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to get back to you. Come follow me outside of YouTube over on Instagram, where I'm most active, and I will see you on Thursday with another upload. Bye guys!